You don't know who I am, but let's talk about some video games. And today I would like to talk about the evolution of the video game manual. And I'm going to go with two different examples. The Nintendo path, the evolution of their instruction manuals, and then the Sony PlayStation evolution path. I know there's a lot of other consoles out there, but I just thought I'd grab these two to really focus on them because we've all been heavily involved at one time or another with the PlayStation brand or the Nintendo brand. First off, just manuals, of course, were there because when we first started off back with the Nintendo, and even just the PlayStation, there wasn't the internet. It was just magazines that we had for information, and then the manuals that came with each game. And that was always a fun thing to read because as soon as you got home or as soon as you bought the game and got in the car or you were on the bus or however you're getting back to your place of residence, you'd crack that thing open, pull out that manual and start reading it. That was your way to start living inside the game and start getting connected to what you were about to play and what you were going to really dive headfirst into. And then in this way, there were those days when you weren't able to play, but you took the manuals with you to school or to the park, whatever it was, or at least for me, I always had those manuals with me so I could keep reading about the game, reimagining what I'm doing in the game, how I'm going to get further, and the manuals all held the little bits of information that could help, or maybe in some cases early on, the translations weren't so great, so they didn't quite make too much sense. I remember some of those, but at that point, you didn't know that it wasn't translated correctly. You're just like, well, that was strange. It was written that way or whatnot. And you just read it and you read them again and again just to soak in this information. So let's go through a few of the instructions throughout all these years. Here's our example from the early Nintendo 8-bit days. Let's look at Spy Hunter. Beautiful color graphic on the out front. Inside, it's just nice black and white. Some little bit of screenshots telling you about some things. And further on here, it tells you about what your car can do and other enemy cars and vehicles in the game. And this was being Sunsoft, third party. Sometimes the third party publishers wouldn't put too much, extra money into getting these up. So this is like in black and white and fairly succinct and pretty simple, but it told you what you needed to do. Whereas the Nintendo first party instruction booklets sometimes were very colorful and had lots of good information. But you still got plenty of stuff, and you always knew you were going to get this when you opened up a new Nintendo box. And we move on to the Super Nintendo. And here we go. Here's a prime example of how great the Super Nintendo one instruction manuals were. The Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, of course, as we all know, one of the greatest games that was made. And it was great because this one, they really went all out. At the beginning, you've got a little prologue story that's like 3 or 4 pages of what's happening within the game, like I said, to really bring you into it. And then you learn about yourself and what you're doing and who you're trying to rescue, of course. And you get into it. Look at these. This has got wonderful little graphics, great color, detail. It even gives in here ideas of the map, how the map works, what the screens do, how to work the overworld, how to get from place to place. Like I said, because the tutorials weren't quite heavily involved yet in the games. You weren't able to get online to go to, say, YouTube or to GameFAQs to quickly look up and see how to play this and how to do this. You had to rely on these instruction manuals and then just trial and error while moving along. This is just a beautiful, beautiful instruction booklet. The Super Nintendo era of instruction booklets was wonderful. Quite possibly the golden age for it, but these books were full of good stuff, good size, so they could hold a lot of information that you need. And I'd pull out more examples, but we're just going to keep going through these, through the different console lives. As we move into the Nintendo 64 era, the first party games continued to have some really great instruction books. Nintendo always went all out with the detail, the graphics, and the color, just to keep them entertaining and enthralling. So you want to keep going back to it and reading about it and really get to know the game and to find out about it. You find about the different race styles, the Mushroom Cups and the Star Cup and all of that, just so you, ahead of time, you get to know what it is, what's happening. Or if you're sitting on the couch and you're doing this in co-op and you don't want to play for the moment, but your buddy's playing, you can pull out the instruction booklet, read through it, and really get to understand what's happening on the screen, understand what your buddy next to you is doing, and get yourself engrossed in the game and ready to go. And the 64 era is when we started to see also the third-party publishers still continue to give us quality instruction booklets, but then a lot of them were on the black and white side, which is fine. But then, you know, of course, unless they were looking for that, trying to give you that top tier, like, oh wow, this game is really worth the some of the extra money you might pay, or we really want you to be invested in this, so here's a very detailed instruction booklet with full coloring. But, you know, still, black or white or color, you were getting the good information that you could use throughout your adventure and your time with each game. And that brings us up to the Gamecube. Yes, here we go. Some Metroid Prime action, right? Now, this one, same thing. So we're getting quality, high quality stuff. We're getting a great prologue at the front, help you dive right into the game, know what's happening. That's like 3 or 4 pages long of information. And then you get to your controls, and we get to our, hey, let's find out about what kind of power-ups we're gonna pick up throughout the world. Sure, sometimes finding these things is exciting just because you don't know what to expect, and all of a sudden you stumble upon the wave beam, or maybe you all of a sudden find the various suit, like, oh wow. But it's also great to read about it within this instruction manual, because that gives you, or for me at least, it gave me incentive, like, oh my gosh, I need to keep playing and I need to keep looking, because here I am reading about the wave beam or the plasma beam, but where is it? I haven't got it yet. And it just, you know, you just want to get it. And it just continues on with great color, good little shots of the game, get you involved, keep your mind into it, and making you want to come back and get into the game and keep playing. GameCube kept that up. All their instructions, just like with the N64. The instruction booklet was still a very important part of the overall game experience. And then we get to the Wii. And we'll take Epic Mickey here for a little example. And the Wii is where things really start to get wobbly with our instruction books for Nintendo. The first party stuff, like I'm saying, always was great, maintained, true to form of what you expect from Nintendo. Bright, colorful books that are chock full of information, lots of graphic, lots of great colors, cool layouts, fun to look at, really fun to read. And then you get, you know, some third-party stuff here from other companies, and let's just look at it. You get a little bit of color, but it's, you know, the information starts to become a little sparse. It's still good, and it's still decent, but it's not really trying to drag you into the game. It's not bringing you into the world anymore. You're losing the prologues, the written prologues of what's happening and what's going on. You're just getting basic information, and then mostly stuff about your limited 90 or 60 day warranty for buying this software. And that's where here at the Wii is where things start to roll down. And I would say we'll use this to cover the Wii U as well, because there's not too much difference. And with that, that's going to bring us up to the most current Nintendo console, right? Which is our Switch. And now, when you grab the Switch and you pop open the case to look at the instruction booklet that you're going to get, nothing. Not a granada. Hardly anything in the first parties either. Here with Chris Tales, you open it up, and now you're getting a poster. I mean, that's great. That's fun, but how do I get into this world? How am I going to sit down somewhere else and dive into this over and over again? Well, I guess that's where the internet is now, right? That's what's happening, and that's what has happened. We've lost our art of the instruction book. We've lost that piece. We've lost that window into the world when the game wasn't on. We've lost that extra tangible physical connection to the game. All right, let's look at our examples from the PlayStation side of things. PlayStation 1, Ghost in the Shell. Now with the PlayStation 1, as you remember, they were in the jewel cases like CDs. So not only was the instruction booklet just that, it was also the cover for the game because it slipped right into the jewel case. Even from the beginning with the PSX, the PS1, you're going to get black and white instructions and you're going to get color instructions. It just really depends on, I guess, the budget for that game from the publisher at the time. But you would get what you needed, great information. You'd get some good little backstories and prologues to what was happening. It's what you needed to know. Here they'd tell you about your battle techniques, and then it would, in here, tell you about your battle techniques, also tell you about different mission styles, all the different, maybe some different enemies, like back here about the enemies, your missions, different items to be on the lookout for. Yeah, and so that's what they were like with the PlayStation 1. And then we got to the PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 had a lot of good books. Let's take a look here at Wizardry. Wizardry, this one is just a good review for a third-party game that, you know, was pretty niche at the time. Again, here we go. We start with a prologue, help you get into the game, get into the story. Lots of good little color, lots of good layouts, screenshots, stuff to, like I said, to really get you involved. PlayStation 2 era is like the Super Nintendo era. Almost a golden age for Sony with the instruction booklets. We get up to PlayStation 3. Let's look at 3D Dot Heroes. Exceptional instruction booklet with lots of detail and lots going on. Some really great artwork. Take a look at that. That little guy's beautiful. That's a great picture in there. That's just an awesome, great fun game. Here, this one is just chock full of the basics of what is happening. Items, of course, enemies, things to get, how to actually use the game, how to use the overworld, how to read your screen, how to look at the HUD correctly. Even with the PS3 era and the tutorials coming online heavily within games, some games still took the time to offer you an amazing, tangible, physical instruction booklet to help you become even more attached and involved with the game. And I'll do one other quick PS3 example of what I mean here with XCOM. Super detailed, super crazy, super strategic game that needs a heavy-handed and thick instruction booklet to let you know and figure out what's going on. But what's this guy do? Gives you 3 or 4 pages, and the most information you get is this right here, where it tells you what your buttons do. And yes, of course, like I said, with XCOM, it's heavy on the tutorials, but really, at this point in gaming, we're online constantly. So how do you figure things out? How do you learn? Where do you go? YouTube, Twitch, or wherever, straight to GameFAQs again. You start looking this stuff up and you start figuring out that way. It's handy to have it all on your fingertips to go in and to go see things and to figure it out that way. But it also, it detracts a little bit from the game when you could actually just crack that open, and if you wanted to just see it and read it and hopefully get to figure it out yourself. Then we move up to PS4, and this will cover PS5 as well. Let's take a look at with the G.I. Joe Operation Blackout. Now when you open these guys, guess what's in them? Yeah, nothing again. Nowadays, with the new consoles, whether it be on the Xbox or the Switch or here with the PS4, PS5s, getting the instruction booklet is now, it's almost a pre-order kind of bonus thing. It's a special edition deal. You have to end up paying more for it. It's like what was once common and what was once expected. You're gonna have something large. You're buying the new Zelda, right? You're gonna get your big instruction booklet. You're gonna be able to read stuff, get into the game ahead of time, beforehand, get your excitement going. Now you've got that. You probably have your excitement. You probably got into the game because before you bought, say, the new Zelda, you were watching it on Twitch or on YouTube to see and get you excited. And I'm sure that's great. And I know that's going to be working for a lot of our new gamers. But for some of the older gamers like myself, it's these instruction booklets that contained the prologues, that contained the stories. They wanted you to play the game. They knew sometimes their games were difficult or had a steep learning curve, so they tried to incorporate some of that information within the instruction booklets or as a supplemental right within there. So you didn't have to go out and grab a strategy guide if you needed to or not, but it gives you just enough to hopefully move forward. Like I said, we've now lost that kind of art and that kind of expectation. What you do get are, like I said, maybe a poster, as we saw for what was that? As we saw for the Crystals, or you're going to get some other little token of gratitude, like, oh hey, here's a code to be able to download some DLC items or whatnot. It was sad to see the instruction booklet slowly lose its way and to become a thing of the past. Thank you for watching this. Maybe if this gets enough likes or attractions or comments, I can look in on the instruction booklets for the handheld side of things or some other systems. But I just wanted to revisit something that meant a lot to me while growing up and gaming and continuing to game, and things I always look forward to in my gaming packages or when I try to complete some of my collection. So again, thank you for watching, and as always, game on.